of being the solutions to the problems that we experience on this earth and as a people. So a little bit about me. I'm an award-winning brand management and strategy consulting agency. In that space, our agencies work with extraordinary brands like Ferrari, Maserati, Miller Coors, introduce the world to 2 Chainz, launch One Music Fest. Then I'm also a singer-songwriter and an activist. I mentor young black men through the Barack Obama Foundation, and I'm the chairman of the Young Professional Advisory Board for Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless. And it's important for you to know that before I start cutting these people off when they're talking and stuff. And you're like, who does this guy think he is? We went ahead and did that. All right? So we are going to start on my right with introductions.
Yes, sir. Hi, everyone. I'm Belinda James.
Talking to Mike.
I'm Belinda James. See, I knew I was well. I was trying to go to you. But I speak loud enough. Everybody can hear me. I am Belinda James. I'm the executive producer at Atlanta News First, formerly CBS 46. I have an Emmy, a Gabby, and a presidential award. I have, so currently I am the executive producer of Special Projects. I just produced the 4-hour live Pride Parade. I don't know if anybody saw that on Peachtree TV a couple weeks ago. And now I'm working on the elections. Midterm, so everyone please go vote because it'll make my life easier on the election night.
Right.
I'd like to go home before 1 a.m. But yeah, so I've been in this game, 30 years in February. So long time. I started in New York at Fox 5, came to Atlanta, Fox 5, went to 11 Alive, and now I'm at Atlanta News First. So I've been doing television, local news for a long time, and I've held a lot of positions there. So ask me anything you want to know, I got the answer.
Yay!
Hey, thank you.
Let's go.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Big Tigger. How you doing? I'm currently the host of the Big Tigger Morning Show on B103. Moved to Atlanta in 2013. Started doing afternoons here. I am the PA announcer for the Atlanta Hawks. I am very proud to say I hold the distinction of the first person to PA announce an NBA game in Abu Dhabi ever.
Hey, Legends only!
I am the official DJ for the Atlanta Falcons. I have a whole section 134 called the Dirty Bird's Nest. I am a local Emmy Award winner in Washington, D.C. I neglected to tell my group earlier I'm on the board of directors for Hosea Helps Hosea.
The biggest facts.
Facts and facts and facts. And I am Rap City forever.
Yay!
Yeah, come on, sis.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I am Veronica Waters, and I am a reporter and anchor and legal correspondent for WSB Radio here in Atlanta. That's 95.5 FM, WSBradio.com. I've been at WSB since 1997, so next month will be my 25th year.
Triple G energy.
I tell people that my news director saw my kindergarten speech and was very, very impressed. So don't let the math fool you, okay? I'm like the only 6-year-old they ever hired. I have been an award winner as well, although I told Mr. Dickey earlier, I'm not used to actually talking to people about what I do. I let my work speak for myself, but...
Nope, ain't doing it no more.
I've won some Gabbies and some NAB awards. I got an investigative award that was a Murrow. Very proud of that one.
Yes,
and I am the host of the Sunday morning talk show Lawyers in the House with Montlick. It comes on every Sunday from 8 to 9 on WSB Radio. I hope you will tune in and give us your questions. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you, answering whatever questions you got.
So with Lawyers in the House, is there a lot of bourbon and cigars happening on the show?
Unfortunately, not at 8 a.m. on a Sunday.
Okay. Well, when you said lawyers, just got it. Okay, all right.
It's like mimosas in the house.
Okay, got it.
I am Jen Johnson. I started out in PR, now I'm a manager. In the industry, I've managed a lot of celebrities. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am a mother. My husband is there, I'm a wife. And I am the first Black girl to have a PR and management school, fully accredited. And I'm Jen Johnson.
All right, hey everybody. My name is Rodney Harris, and I work with Belinda. I am a meteorologist for Atlanta News First, formerly CBS 46. I do morning weather, traffic, and I'm a feature reporter for our morning show. I got to Atlanta in 2009 And the business has changed a lot. When I first got here, I was a weather producer, and I've also been a digital content producer and a web developer, so I've done quite a bit at our station, but right now I'm on our morning show, and I have won an Emmy and an AP award here.
All right, so we're going to start with the first question, and I'd like for you all to answer this question. What inspired you to go into media? You guys can get in here when you fit in.
Actually, I'm from the Bronx, New York. I grew up DJing. I've been DJing since I was 15. I went to University of Maryland on a track scholarship, and at that point I kind of gave up on DJing or doing anything music. I was an accounting major and a sociology major. Yeah, don't ask. For my sociology degree, you needed a research background or internship. I thought it would be cool to get an internship at the radio station. Maybe I get some free records. Maybe I could start DJing at school. And I literally walked into a studio to get something from my music director, who was an afternoon personality. He said, hold on a sec. He did his radio break, and I was like, wow. It's different being in the room than when you just hear it on the radio. And I was like, wow. So I was like, I was supposed to come get this, that, and the third, but how much people get to do this? And he was like, you can make anywhere from 50,000 to 5 million. And I was like, oh, you about to teach me this. So I transferred out of the research department and became his intern. I became his intern/producer. Once I sat in that studio, like the first day, I knew it was what I was supposed to be doing. And I just kept pushing. I was undeniable. I had this thing that I still say called Be Relentless. And I was relentless. They couldn't pay me to go home. Like I was like, y'all need anything else? What you need? What you need? What you need? What you need? So that was like my first introduction into being in media. And then from there I said, oh, BET's up the street. Let me go try and be on television. I used the same, principle. Like I was relentless with them. Don't y'all need me to do something? Don't y'all need me to do something? And they gave me a shot. It was 1 day a week. It was like 2 minutes. It was called Hip Hop News on Rap City. And then once I got that, I just kept pushing. So it was the actual being my internship. I tell people all the time, internships are invaluable.
Clutch.
You get to learn stuff for free that you would never be able to learn from just book knowledge. It's different from being there and learning books. So that's kind of what sparked my interest.
So I'll piggyback on that because I also started as an intern.
Let's go!
It's really, really, really important. I was in school in New York. I went to BMCC, which I worked all day, went to school at night, paid my own way through school, and literally got up one morning and just started calling all the local news stations for an internship. I've known since 13 years old that I wanted to do news. I thought I wanted to be an anchor on TV until I found out what that job entailed, and I said, absolutely not. Let me move on to something else. So that's when I became behind the scenes. My second day on the job in New York City was the first World Trade Center bombing back in 1993. Woo! And because I knew how to log video, if there is ever anyone, if you don't know how to write and log video, that's the fundamentals. Everybody can be on TV and do a podcast or blog or quick little post, but you gotta get in the trenches and know the foundation of the work. So I knew how to log. They told me, log the video from the first Trade Center bombing. I logged it on a legal pad in my penmanship, and I was the star of the day, because they were like, where's that shot with the smoke? And I was like, take 2, 1932. They were like, where's the shot of the man who was bleeding? I was like, take 3, blah, blah, blah. That was what got me in. So that second day on the job, everybody in that room knew my name.
Okay, star status, ASAP, Ferguson, Rocky.
But let me tell you, I was making $5 per day.
Wow.
They only gave you transportation money. And when they hired me, they gave me $6.58 an hour in New York. Okay?
Yeah, they tried to shut up.
But they did. Yeah. But it worked. But like you said, I was there all day, all night. I missed weddings, birthdays, parties. I was there whenever they needed me, because I was learning every day. And when that videotape librarian said she was going to law school, I said I can do that.
Okay.
That's it. So that's what's important.
All right.
I love that story. All right, so unlike these two, I did not have any intention of ending up in media.
You was fine. They just said put you in media.
I went to college and I was an engineer. engineering major.
Wow.
And then I got into my major courses and I was like, what have I done? I have no talent in this arena. But while I started off at Alcorn State University, then I went to Mississippi State, and while I was at Mississippi State, they started a radio station, WMSV, and I was like, I've always kind of been interested in news. Let me do that while I get ready to go to med school, because by that time I had changed my major. I was a biology major, and I was like, I'm gonna be a doctor, because that's what I wanted to be when I was little, right? I ended up volunteering at this college radio station, and at some point, my program director's old friend from way back in the business was like, hey, I'm starting this urban themed network that's going to be a sister network to the Mississippi network, and I'm looking for some talent. Do you know anybody? And he said, yeah, I got this girl, Veronica. She's really great. You should hear her. And so I sent him a tape. At that time, we still used cassette tapes,
Yes.
Tigger, right? I sent him a tape, and he gave me, came up and interviewed me there in Starkville, Mississippi, offered me a job. My dad thought I was crazy. I thought he might disown me. Because it was like no money. It was $18,000 a year.
Facts.
And but I said, I'm just going to do this for a year, and then I'll go to med school.
35 years later, here
Right.
we are.
And then, at some point, almost a year into that job, I heard about a radio station in Atlanta that did news 24 hours a day, and I said, I want to go to there. And I got some tapes made. And I think I sent out, at that time I had a minimum amount of tapes I had to make. You can only get 25 minimum, right? I sent a tape to V103. I sent a tape to WSB Radio. I sent a tape to CNN. Didn't hear anything back from CNN. V103 called me, had me do some freelance work for the elections that year. By the time V103 called me back to do runoffs, a few weeks later,
You was already on and popping.
I had a job at WSB Radio. They had already hired me.
I love it.
And so I've been there since 1997. I just fell into the business, and I've been there ever since.
Hey!
So mine is different too. I didn't even want to be in media. I didn't want to do PR, none of that. I just was working in leasing apartments, and I was a manager there. I used to go inside the apartments and take pictures of myself and post them on Instagram. And one time somebody was like, check your DMs. I'm like, what is a DM? And I, I asked my sister, like, what's a DM? She like, go do this, da 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 da. So I go over to my DMs, and it's like massive inboxes. And it was from like a lot of who's here in Atlanta, like, you should be my PR, da 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 da. So I look up PR, and I'm like, they make this money, they do this, I can do that.
Okay.
So I ended up calling one of them back, and here I am today.
Hey!
Utilize IG for sure. Post up.
That's cool. That's cool. So I've always wanted to do the weather my whole life. I wanted to do the weather.
Really?
Yeah, since I was 9 years old. So when I was a kid, I was afraid of thunder. And so I would watch like our local weather guy to know when the rain would move in and out.
He made you feel better.
And he made me feel better. I was like super fascinated with it. So like kids would go like to the movies and like to the skating rink, and on Fridays at 9 years old, I would go to the TV station and shadow the weather guy.
9 years old.
9 years old, to see like what he was doing. So when I went to college, I was already kind of connected in the TV world, so I was immediately able to get a job when I went to college. And like what Belinda was saying, I'm a meteorologist now, but while I was studying for it, I was a camera operator, a tape operator, like an audio operator, a director, like all the things you have to do to ultimately get to where you want to be. I did all that when I was in school, but yeah, I got started at a super early age. I feel like I'm kind of like living my dream because I've always wanted to do this.
Hey! So I was super excited to have a weather guy in the building. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just don't really get weather guys very often. So put your hands together for the weather guy. Okay, so. Right, exactly.
It's gonna rain at 11 o'clock.
Okay, that's facts. I was hearing that earlier.
11 o'clock.
Okay, listen, it's gonna rain at 11, guys. Look, you heard it here first. Atlanta News first. Okay. Look, okay, so as a media or publicity professional, what do you do to make sure your work stands out from the rest?
For me, it is all in the writing. I don't really get into the logistics of reporting, the travel, hither and yon and everything, but what I'm good at is talking to people, getting the emotion of a story and putting it together in a succinct way, because for my format at my station, I only get 30 seconds to tell a story. So it's essential for me to get someone's point of view or whatever they're going
Quick
through,
and clean,
and to sort of put it out there in a way that the audience can feel. You know, anybody can tell you the facts, but what is that person really going through? So for me, it's all in the storytelling. It's all in the storytelling.
Well, that's easy for me. I always get the reality stars and the problem rappers. So
you better know your lane, boo.
I can clean.
Who you talking about?
No. So it's easy for me. My work stands out all the time because I clean up good and seamlessly. So they know my work easy.
I have no idea how this is my, next year will be my 29th year in radio, my 26th in television. I have no idea how I'm still here. Only thing that I've always been is me. So one of the things I always talk to people about is your level of authenticity. Be you. You're the only you ever gonna get. Luckily that has connected and, people have liked me. So I just think being authentic to yourself, don't overdo it, don't overreach. Try to be as transparent and 100 as we say as possible. And I've just been blessed to be here this long. So I again, really have no idea.
For me, I would say be coachable. A lot of people say they want to learn, but then they don't like what you have to tell them. Your mother thinks you're great, your family thinks you're great, you may not be that great in the field that you're going into. And you gotta be open to that, because you won't get any better. I've been finding a lot of that lately. A lot of the younger people coming in, they didn't have to kind of grind it the way we did back in the day, which is fine. But then you still have to be coachable. And just because you did that one thing great,
that one time,
great, it's not, you're not great yet. And unfortunately, we come up against that a lot. So my advice is always be coachable, even when you don't like it. I had a manager that I wanted to wring her neck, but utilize the restroom. I went in the restroom and and then I came out and I listened, and as much as I dislike her, I've learned from her. And I wouldn't tell her that, but I haven't. I'm never gonna tell her that, but I did. But what it taught me was to stop wearing my emotions on my sleeve about some things, to keep some things, like be authentic, but don't share everything. Because not everyone has your best interest at heart, not everyone is your friend, and not everyone wants you to win. Especially in this game. There's a lot of competition, but be coachable to the people who are authentically trying to help you. Okay. And you will know who they are because they're gonna tell you the truth. And this is the last thing I'll say. And if they are trying to coach you and you don't accept it, they will walk away. I suggest you run after them, because that's the person who's going to take you to your next level. Because that's where I am now. If you don't listen, and you don't do everything I say, but if you don't really listen and take in what I'm telling you, I'm done, because we don't have a lot of time to waste. So I just really be coachable.
Yeah, I like that, Belinda. To me, it's real simple. Like what you said earlier, just be yourself. That's what I've learned over the years. There's so many different things you can do, but we're all different. So just by being yourself, being authentic, that's how I feel like I've started to separate. And also being relentless, because everybody's on their grind. And it never stops. Are they though? Well, they should be. Okay. And it never stops. And so the more that you're relentless and the more that you do your thing, that also to me is the way you stand out.
Hey, okay, I like it. So our next question. Do you think society is moving away from allowing the freedom of individuality with the court of public opinion? And what are your thoughts on this latest Kanye West debacle fiasco?
Knew he was gonna pass me.
I'm just passing it that way. Veronica could have got it.
I thought it was fatigue.
No, I'm just going to my right.
everyone has the right to freedom of speech. You are not free from the consequences of what you say. There's an amazing narrative playing out right now where I was on my way here and there was this argument, I guess, with the social media people.
Them.
Kanye West didn't get canceled by anybody when he said slavery was a choice. I said, yeah, well, black people didn't really have a problem with that. They didn't really band together, they didn't organize, they didn't protest, they didn't call him to the mat for it. And it's a little different than saying you're going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. You literally declared war on
media.
One of the 2 or 3 groups that you really can't mess with, in America at least. I wish black people were as united as some of these other groups that people know you can't say stuff about. If black people was united, like, oh, you better not say something about them black people.
Right.
The amount of power that we would have
Insurmountable.
is amazing. I have no idea what's going on with Kanye. There are people out here that are saying, oh, this is genius level. He's doing this to get out of all these deals, and now he's free. And he took the red pill, and he's like, I don't care what you say, like, oh, he can do it all by himself. No one
Can do anything all
has done anything all by their damn self. And I feel sorry for him. I hope it works out for him. But you know, again, there are certain groups in this country. If he been around, he knew what he was saying. He knew how he said it, and I think the whole cancel culture thing is wrong. America is overly sensitive, but at the same time, you gotta watch your mouth. Like there are consequences behind that freedom of speech.
I agree with that. Obviously, we have freedom of speech, but, and I'm going to be much shorter, I just think you have to be more intelligent about what it is that you're saying. So you can say what you want to say, you just have to be smart about it. And right now, I feel like we're being forced into that, which is not a bad thing, to make sure that we're careful about what we're saying, because it impacts people. So.
Well, like
Come on, spit it for Kanye. Spit it. Spit it.
I told y'all earlier.
She trouble rappers. That's her favorite. This is her genre.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I told y'all earlier, I got my own problem child, so I can't tell y'all.
So, I'm glad you brought that up. So, if you were Kanye's publicist, tell me, let's talk about how you would handle this current state of affairs with him.
Oh, I would definitely take the whole social media from him. Like, we will rehab him. We will.
Well, they already took it away. You remember? Yeah, the social media platforms took themselves away from him.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But like, it would be a lot. I charge like $400 per copy.
Kanye can afford it. Let's get to what we would be doing.
Right.
Yes, yeah. Well, we know he's got the money.
He needs to pay me for it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's being recorded. He might use it.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Get the Kanye.
Right.
You know what? There we go. Yeah, got it. I like it. Keep your intellectual property. Yeah, got it.
Gave it to the soul.
Yeah, got it.
My information has been stolen before.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. All right, so our next question. Let's see here. Where are we going to go here with this lot? Okay. Being black, we typically talk about the challenges we face, but my personal mantra is something I call the Kim principle. It's my belief that if you are able to keep it moving forward positively and productively, no matter what comes your way in life, your karma loop will always make sure good things are on their way to you in every moment. And so with that being said, in what ways has being black given you an advantage in your career in media? And I'm not handing it to Tigger.
I will say this, following the summer riots here in Atlanta, I became the voice of reason in the newsroom for everything, because the management was scared, literally. I mean, there were, we had Caucasian reporters who did not want to cover the story, who had gone out to some of the protests and been harassed, so they weren't going to cover it. But then the African American reporters and photographers like, but why we gotta go? Why is their safety more important than ours? So I won't say it was, it advanced me, but it gave me a voice, and they really listened to me, and it was amazing. They were doing everything I said. I felt empowered. I didn't have to fight, because normally I have to fight to tell stories that I like to tell.
All your life.
Right, not to fight all my life. But this time, it was so, it was an unfortunate scene, but it also, I was able to enlighten our management team of where this was coming from and what we needed to do on both sides. Because there was a lot of resentment in the newsroom, in the field. There was fear, there were concerns, because safety is always important, and we're sending people into this dangerous situation, and some things happen that probably shouldn't. And then in the aftermath, we were able to sit back and kind of devise a plan on how we cover news. So in that, I kind of helped spearhead that conversation. So that was what was really, that was one of the moments. It was unfortunate, but it was a teaching tool for those who did not understand the outrage, the struggle, and then the pushback that they were getting from various sects within our own newsroom. So in that case, that was kind of an advantage for me, because now when I speak, it is received on a much higher level than it was before.
I don't know if any of us feel like we've been treated, like it was an advantage being black, other than the way that the traditional black experience gives us the gifts and talents that we have naturally.
Sounds like the answer.
And I digress.
For Belinda, like Belinda, I would say that the social justice protests that we saw kick off a couple of years ago were the same for me. I think I know I've always been one of very few people of color at my station, and I didn't really know this until my news director said to me, last year or something. He's like, I really look to you to help guide our coverage on certain things. I always ask you whether or not you think this is something that we need to cover. Is this something that we need to focus on? And I didn't actually realize that he was looking to me for that kind of advice. But it also allows me to not just sort of guide the coverage, but to pitch stories in my own way and to try to look at things from a different angle. I'll give you a very literal example of what I'm doing right now. There was the state Supreme Court made a ruling this morning that said that they're dismissing these challenges by the Sons of Confederate Veterans to the removal of some monuments in a couple of counties here in Metro Atlanta. The obvious story there is dismissal of the lawsuits and the one that's allowed to go forward. For me, it's looking behind that headline to say, what's behind this challenge, which was really what got my brain on this. The way that they were able to bring this challenge was, there's a law in Georgia that says it's against the law to deface a monument that honors any military personnel of the United States or our state or any states or the Confederate States of America.
Wow, my Lord.
I had no idea until today that we have a law on the books here in Georgia that says you can't deface anything that honors the treasonous group that the Confederacy was. And to me, that is the story that I'm working on this week, is to give you a look at what does it say about our state? What does it say about legal ethics? What does it say that our law in black and white says it's okay to honor these people who took up arms against our own country and did so in large part to keep people like me in chains. And so it's looking again, it's the storytelling, it's the emotion, but it's like, how can I do something that's going to change somebody's life? How can I bring a message to people that's more than just the little stuff that we see in the headlines? That's how I believe being black has been an advantage to me in this career, in this field, in this market.
Go, Rockstar.
It's very good. For me, for what I do, just weather-wise, it's real simple again. It's just me working hard. That's been my advantage.
Being black.
Jim?
I'm here.
Okay.
Wait, Rodney,
Are we
Rodney
moving?
doesn't just.
Hey, no. Look. It's his story to tell, his cross to bear. I don't need you to clean up nothing he done said. You are not executive producing this piano. He kept it clean and quick there. That's what she said. Now we moving on. Jim, what you got, bro?
I mean, it really wasn't no different other than like during the Black Lives Matter. They wanted like bigger brands like Sprite and Nike wanted the black faces. So they'll come to us black publicists to grab our urban talent, but we declined because we stood together with that. So that was really it.
Mental health in a realm full of bleed leads, despair, and sprinkles of goodness. And I'm not handing this microphone to Tigger.
That's actually one of the biggest challenges for me, and not something that I am ever really given the opportunity to talk about.
Here we are, boo.
This is, it is a real side effect when you're in the news business, and a lot of people complain. What's going on there?
Got it, go ahead. Keep going.
A lot of people complain about the content of the news. They say the news is so negative all the time. It's all y'all do is talk about the bullets, and if it bleeds, it leads, and that kind of stuff. But I always remind people that the news is what it is because it is unusual. Because it's not news if you had a peaceful night at home and nobody broke into your house and there was no accident outside your street. There was no traffic accident on the way there. There was no overturned tractor trailer. Nobody carjacked anybody on your way to the office. Nobody shot up your office, etc., etc. The things that we report on in the news are the things that are unusual. Now, where it culminated for me has been only on some real big things through the course of my career, because you sort of manage to compartmentalize things when you're in this business. And I'm a person who feels things very deeply. I do wear my heart on my sleeve.
I can feel that.
You know, I really do. And in a way, I'll tell you something. I don't know if Randy ever remembers this being around the newsroom, but I'm also very outspoken, and so you might come by at any given time and see me like dropping 4-letter words at any time, you know, at the top of my lungs. But most of the time, like the bad
Like
ones.
love.
But you compartmentalize that thing, and then sometimes like 9/11, not 93, because I wasn't in the business then, but when 9/11 happened, that was a moment where I had to go into a room and like cuss and cry and scream. And then when the social justice protests came about, that was hard, because I felt everything. I felt everything that everybody out there on the streets was feeling, and I understood it. And like Belinda, it gave me the voice to talk about it, but it was also so exhausting. It was so exhausting. Headline after headline and story after story. And you know, it's easy to be objective actually, because there are not really two sides to some of that stuff. You know, it's just, it is what it is. And objectivity is easy for me. But that was really hard. And I had this constant level of rage that was always simmering, always just below the surface. And by the time January 6th came around, it was very hard. So the short answer to that is I don't know.
Yes, please. Yes.
I honestly don't know how, Mr. Dickey. You guys, I don't know how I do it. You just keep going. You just keep going, and you have maybe you have a little help from your friend Pinot Grigio.
Okay.
You know, maybe you have a little help from your friends like Randy Ooh, who can talk to you and tell you everything is going to be all right. But be aware that it is a very real thing, and some days it does get very hard, but not so much that I want to give up and not keep being a voice.
Okay. All right, back to the question really quickly. How do you maintain your mental health in a realm full of bleed leads, despair, and sprinkles of goodness. And I'd love for you guys to maybe give some tips on how you actually do it. Yes, thank you, Veronica.
What are you trying to say, Mr. Dickey?
I think I'm pretty clear.
I said, I talk to my friends, I depend on my friends, I vent, I cuss, I cry, and I keep going because the work is important.
Yeah, you could have did that earlier.
It's a newlywed game. Are we talking? Are we talking?
I'm a Christian, so I'm a big fan of church.
Amen.
I go to church a lot. I go to Bible study. I go to church. I need my Jesus.
Come on.
Because there is a lot of times where, you have to, you react. You just can't help yourself. There are a few times where I've openly wept in the newsroom. But one time was when Barack Obama was president. Like, that was a moment. That, those historic moments when you're in the newsroom and you just feel it and you just let it go. So I think church, your friends, vent, get it out the same day. Yeah. Don't hold it in.
Facts.
Get it out the same day. And then and pray, read scriptures, journal, whatever it is you need to do, but find the time because it's really important.
Okay. Thank you, Belinda.
All right, you know what? Why are you looking at me like that?
Go.
Okay, so I have a really, really bad problem with
Putting things in little boxes.
putting things in my box. So it's a male-driven industry, so you have to be tough. And I'm a Cancer, and I'm a crier. So when I'm on the road, my kids and my husband, I think about them so much. So I put them in the back of my brain, and I put the work in the forefront. So I try not to. I call them in the morning, and I call them at night when I'm on the road. So I try not to call them while I'm on set, while I'm in the Sprinter truck, things like that. And then I pray. I get my mind right. I drink lots of water and lots of energy drinks. So those are things like that I do. I pray a lot. I pray so much. And I just keep spiritually grounded. And I always remind myself, you are Jen Johnson. You can conquer every single thing. I walk past the mirror like, you go, girl.
Yes. You are Jen Johnson.
Yes.
I agree with what Belinda said. So I think it's a privilege.
Really?
I do. Yeah. Did you know I was going to say that? It's like a privilege to work in media, but at the same time, it is a very extremely highly stressful job.
Yes.
And over the years, it just piles on and piles on. So I think that for me at least, it's become important to just keep everything into perspective. My family, like Belinda said, church. I also go to Vegas every month when everything else has to work. But it but it really is to me important to just keep everything in perspective and not let it be too much with family and God.
I compartmentalize, but I also understand that's hard for different people. I have friends that are sometimes you got to put that over there in the box and deal with certain things at certain time and due time. But I would encourage everyone. I'm very good at. I go off grid. I completely unplug from social media. I might not watch TV. I'll just go sit somewhere or whatever. I love scuba diving. Can't nobody bother me while I'm scuba diving.
Okay, facts.
Except for the sharks. But if you're not good at compartmentalizing, find an activity or something that you truly enjoy that takes your mind away from everything else. It's much harder for everyone in the spotlight in the social media age because everything is, what are you doing? What are you wearing? Where are you going? Why aren't you going? So stuff like that. So it's an added layer of stress. Even the thought process of, did I post today? Did I post enough today? Did I do the right kind of post today? How many? So it's kind of a thing where you need to find your safe space, whatever that is, whether it's gardening, whether it's playing basketball, whatever it is, where you can just completely disengage from what you do, and hopefully that'll take your mind off and bring you some relief.
Hey. Okay, and so I'll answer this question too because I think this is a really important one. A couple of things I do to manage and maintain my mental health is, one is, I spoke about it previously, it's my mindset, the Kim principle. Like, no matter what's going on, I'm going to figure out how to keep it moving forward positively and productively. Because I understand that what I reap, I sow. You know what I'm saying? And so, I smoke marijuana, okay? Yes, look, I do yoga. I go outside and I enjoy nature. I enjoy taking my shoes and socks off and grounding in nature. And I say what I need to say to the person I need to say it to. And so that way I have less regret, and I don't have a lot of ill will that I harbor towards anything or anyone. And also, when I go to sleep, when I wake up, it's a new day and I'm ready for new adventures. I don't carry the frustration that I had into that next day. So those are some of the things that I do to manage my mental health. There you go. Yep. And so, switching gears, what can we as Black media and publicity people do to bring about more unity in our industry and in our world?
Stop competing. I feel like we compete too much. I feel like it's a lot of enough green mean money. It's a lot of opportunity for all of us. I feel like so much creativity in our minds that we could create so much if we do not compete. And I'm just saying that because the world that I am in, the women compete so much, and I just feel like we don't need to compete. And that's just how I feel.
I agree with that. I think there is a lot of competition. I don't like us cutting each other down, especially in front of others. If there's something you need to say, find a productive way to say it to that person. I do believe a lot in fellowship. And Audrey's back there, she works over at CNN. Even though we're at competing stations and we do different things, we try to make it a point to get together. We used to do the Anchored in the Lord on Sundays, where the news anchors in Atlanta would bring in younger producers and reporters and do a lunch just so that we can connect. That doesn't mean I have to be your best friend and you call me every week. But no, and I mean that because some people get offended by that. But it's like, we're very busy, but we need to take that time. But it's just that time. It's not all the time. It's that time. So I think we have to be good about connecting and just knowing that we kind of have those connections. Audrey and I don't see each other for 12 months, but then when I do see her, we have that. So I think it's important to maintain those connections, but you don't have to be together all the time.
But isn't it?
All right, and where's Audrey?
Right there, Audrey.
Oh, hey Audrey, it's the blondie for me, Audrey.
And she came out to support.
Yes, Audrey, we appreciate you coming out, Audrey.
Yeah.
That's my little sister's name.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? This isn't. I was going to say, don't you find that it's so hard for people to understand that there's enough sunshine for everybody, and I just have never quite understood people doing this sort of undercutting thing. But there are enough billions in the world for us to share. There is enough sunshine for everybody. We can all be a hungry hippo. We can all shine.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but you did make I have seen that sometimes women are, not you, I'm talking about you. But sometimes people can be very territorial. Yeah, and I don't understand. I'm always so willing to take somebody's hand and say, this is what I know, or here's somebody else who knows what you need to know. And I don't. Do y'all have that? Do y'all experience that same kind of thing? That sort of, I don't know, people call it crabs in a barrel, what is crabs in a barrel? I don't know what that is. But it's like, when do we understand that we have so much more power when we are a collective? To Tigger's point, earlier he said, are we one of those groups where people can be like, you don't mess with them? We should be so unified, and Black people are not a monolith. And so this is a question I didn't answer, but you talked about
one of the questions you didn't answer?
The court of public opinion.
Oh, okay.
And are we moving away from individuality? We do have an opportunity. What'd you say? Take the mic.
From here.
Take his mic. We do have a problem with expecting all of us to think the same way and say the same thing. Where we could improve is supporting at least listening to views within our community, which maybe we didn't think that we could. At least listen to somebody before you cut them off. I mean, I'm not talking about Kanye. Okay, we've listened to him quite a bit, and maybe enough for me. But we could shine and be so much stronger if we were a collective and if we were cheering each other on, boosting each other up, instead of trying to pull somebody down and like, whatever, however the folks at Belinda's shop are like, whatever. It's like, yes, I agree with what Belinda said. Let's do what she said. Let's give somebody their shine. That's what I'm on right now. I'm so sick of this kind of undercutting stuff. Sorry, let me get I don't, that's...
If I had to answer how to get more black unity,
Yes, that's the question.
I would not be sitting here. I love you, Dan. I'd be somewhere fixing it. That being said, as far as black media is concerned, one of the things that I took an onus upon myself to do was to bring people along. When I was a very young Tigger in radio, I had a Donnie Simpson working at my radio station before I worked at BET, and he was such a giving, knowledge-sharing, big brother, uncle kind of guy. Like he just gave me so much game. He taught me one of the best things I ever learned in business, which was know your worth. And that went more than just as far as it meant know your leverage, really, in any situation. And what I've done along my careers, I have interns that are people, who are people now. I have people who are producers who are people now.
Okay.
And they make me proud. I'm proud to say, like, I gave a little elbow here. And that honestly is what is going to continue to help my legacy become what it is, and to help bring more people into media and keep black media strong and cohesive. But other than that, black unity?
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, tough.
Yeah.
I would say awareness and networking. And honestly, like stuff like this, where we all get together.
Right, even though Tigger wouldn't be here, but yeah, I'm so glad.
I'll be out there.
But having these different discussions and using our platforms to raise awareness for what we all do. I actually like that about Atlanta, because I feel like we do that really well already, but just making sure that we're tapping into all the talent that's here and everybody that's out here, and using all of our different platforms to bring awareness to each other.
I like it. Well, I'm just glad Tigger is here, you know what I'm saying, like this time. So, all right, so we're gonna switch gears. And I want to make this question clear, and I'm gonna make it clear again, because I don't want you guys to play with me, because you know what happens when you guys play with me. All right, so, what are you most passionate about these days outside of your job? And do you make space for that in your life? And I'm not handing the microphone to Tigger.
I'll go first because I already said it.
Listen, I love scuba diving. It's not a traditional black people thing, but I've been doing it like 6 or 7 years now. At some point, I'm on advanced open water, which is like second tier. I have like some other training to do to become a master diver.
Oh.
And if in an outright world, I would move to some very nice island, and when it's over, and teach scuba diving in my retirement, and I'll be fine.
Costa Rica's alive.
What was the question?
What are you passionate about? Do you make time for outside work?
I do. I actually make a lot of time for mentoring. I do truly enjoy mentoring our young people, because they just have that light in their eyes, and that gives me energy, because they just want to be something great, whatever it is. And it's not always in news. Sometimes it's in my church, and it's just mentoring them on how I'm a head usher. So
Okay, head usher. See, up in the name of love. And in Jesus' name.
So in things like that, that's what I
look like. You better shut up.
passionate about. And just I just want to go back real quick, because when we were talking about black unity,
Yes.
what struck me is that because of slavery, I mean, we were kind of conditioned not to be unified.
Exactly.
So what I want us to remember is you got to be patient with each other. I think we really have to don't be so quick to dismiss someone because they're not on your level, because they're not as woke, aware. you really have to take the time and be patient. I think for me, my first experiences with racism were not from white people, it was from light-skinned black people in elementary school in New York City. But it's happened to me repeatedly, and a lot of times I experienced it from my own. So what I wanted to say in terms of unity is we've got to remember that. I think back during the civil rights time, it was evident. So they remembered that, so it was easy to unify because they remembered that they were conditioned to go against each other, because that's what kept slavery alive and thriving. So if we can remember that we were conditioned to be this way and overcome it, I think that would be one of the first steps. So just be patient with those who aren't where you are, who don't respect necessarily what you did. I think if we're patient with one another, eventually we'll get there.
Yes, I love how you went back into the last question. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I said what I was
definitely.
passionate about too.
Always appreciate
She
that.
said what she said.
I said what I said.
You did. All right.
Anybody else? Rodney, what you
No
got?
one else is passionate.
Right.
David.
How about anything these days outside of work?
Oh, outside of work.
Yes.
Outside of work.
I am passionate about reading, because knowledge is power.
Get to the point, girl.
That was good.
Hold on, time out. For a publicist to say she's passionate about reading, I kind of feel like that's an integral part of your job. So, yeah. So, no, do not waffle cone me. Listen, reading. Listen, I need you, look, you ain't, look, now you can't sit beside me with this foolishness. Yes, I said outside of work, and are you making time for it in your life? So maybe you could just say, no, I'm not making time for my passions. That's a better answer than reading.
No, I'm not.
Material.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
No, you stop. You passed the mic.
But I didn't know.
So you're not finished? So are you not finished?
I'm finished, but I know I had to clarify it.
Unity.
I like to read other things outside of shade room and my work.
What are you reading, Jen?
I don't know if this is work or not, but school, I like going to schools. That's not, that's not work.
Mentoring.
Yeah, I go to schools a lot because when I was a kid, like I know that feeling and how it felt for me. So that's something that I love to do. Even if we're not like putting kids on TV and stuff, just being able to go to talk to kids and see it like in their eyes, and then going out into the community. This is work related, so you're gonna have to give me an exception.
I'm over it. I gave you guys such clear instruction about this not being work related, and you guys just somehow always find a way. This has nothing to do with work, but it's weather. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy weather, yes, coating houses. Yes.
No, we do so much like really, really bad news. I also have really started to like putting people on TV for like good reasons.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Got it. So you mean your job? Oh, at work.
That is
Oh,
bad.
okay. At Atlanta News First. Got it. So we're moving on. Yeah. So I'm over you guys.
The travel, I love to travel. That's not working.
Okay. Got it. Yes. So Rodney Harris, what do you enjoy? Well, I enjoy, thermometers and reading them. Yes. Yeah. Got it. Yes. We're so glad. Listen. So I'm gonna not go to a direction I could go in this moment, and I'm gonna opt to go and to not choose violence. Okay. So let's see here. As a black media professional or publicity professional, what are you doing to bring about more voter awareness in this current climate? Not handing the microphone to Tigger.
Okay.
Unless he wants it. I'm just handing it to my right. I'm not even looking.
I'm going to give the mic to Belinda, but for me the answer is very simple. It's just straightforward stories about whatever the issues are and whatever the people are saying and doing. It's my job to present the facts and to keep people aware of what's happening with their vote. That's it for me.
Well, I just been creating events with my clients, and we posting, go vote. I think that's good, right?
Like, is there an award that you guys would like to extend?
So for me, it obviously voting in the newscast. So I've been specifically making sure that we cover every voting story that we can in every newscast throughout the day parts. So it's just kind of getting those mentions in there. I think we have a whole web page designed to it. I keep up with the most current information for the registration dates. I don't know if you guys watch, but if you watch local news, you'll see that we're constantly saying today's 2 more days before you have to register, another day to get your absentee ballot in, another. So we've been just kind of pushing that, and I'm a big part of making sure that we get those in, especially when it comes to events that they're hosting and debates and things like that. We get it in every day.
On the morning show at V103, we go above and beyond. This is an opportunity when most people in the car by themselves or listening. It's like one-to-one interactions, and for people who might be on the fence, we give them lots of different information about how and when to get registered. We've had everyone, in the last 3 months, we've had everyone from Vice President Harris to Congresswoman Nakima to John Ossoff to Senator Warnock. We actually really asked for Herschel.
Yes!
He said no.
No, Herschel, we need you!
Oh, then I would have had a ball.
I feel like no matter what happens in this election, he's showing up on SNL next season.
But trying to get them educated on the differences of what the races are, who the people are, what the issues are, trying to introduce them into the concept that yes, the presidential election is big and everything, but these midterms and the mayors and the city councils and the DAs are things that affect you every day, like your neighborhood. So I think just using my platform in order to educate people about the importance of it, and when they need to go vote, get a plan, go grab somebody, bring somebody, drag somebody.
Okay. Anyone else?
But I think it's working because we're already at almost 1 million early voters, which is record. So I do think that everyone who has a platform, it's working here in Georgia. So thank you to everyone who's voted, has voted, put it out there, because it's working.
Yeah. All right. Raise your hand if you know you are actually going to vote. All right. In the words of Tupac, you are appreciated. All right. Does anybody else want to answer that question? Or?
I don't really deal with that directly at work, but I will say I think it's important, and we do try to remind people during the off cycles. So of course everybody's going to go vote for president and like the Senate, the stuff that we cover on the news, at the top of the news. But a lot of like the deadlines with the primaries and stuff that people don't know about. I do think it's really important to remind people of those type of things that are as equally as important. So I will like do my part and try to remind people as much as possible for stuff like that.
Alrighty. All right, so we are going to go into the audience for some questions. So who has a question for this illustrious panel? All right, in the back here, you were first. Please stand up, tell us your name, and then let's get into it.
I'm Coach Manel, meditation coach.
Yes, meditation coach.
So I wanted to ask anyone on the panel, do you all meditate?
I do.
Is that part of your mental health practice?
I do.
I definitely do. Anyone else?
I do not.
I don't. I think I'm gonna fall asleep.
I think
We're very sleep deprived people.
Right, we are sleep deprived. We are very.
I meditate. I don't know about these people.
I be smoking.
I think I'd like to, but I
No, actual meditation.
I want to, but my mind goes to all the thoughts of the stuff I want to do. That's why you need to meditate.
So
It's a process.
So Miss Meditation Coach, come up please, really quickly. Quickly.
Cause my mind.
Are we gonna meditate? Look, she's trying to figure out when she comes. Quickly.
Hi.
Hello. Actually did a session about New Year in advance.
What's up?
All right, so Coach, stand over here and just take us through maybe 60 seconds of a meditation.
Everyone. Y'all ready for this?
Yeah.
Quickly.
Close your eyes quickly, please. Take 3 deep breaths. In your nose, out your mouth, release. In your nose, out your mouth, release. Eyes closed. And think about yourself being on a beautiful beach or a warm, beautiful walk through a park. Feel that nice cool breeze on your skin. See those pictures, those colors of light blue, and pink and greens, and all the calming colors that come with it. Continue your deep breathing. And just let everything drop. Let your shoulders drop, your arms, relax your legs, uncross your legs and arms, allow the energy to flow. Just continue to breathe. And I'm gonna stop there. So that was short and sweet.
You have 15 more seconds. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Coach.
Love it.
All right, so the next questions were in this area. What we got? Who were they? Please raise your hands.
Okay, so as a...
I need you to stand up, tell us your name, and then let's get into it.
Hello everyone, my name is Megan, and I am a recent grad school graduate. I'm a journalism major, and recently moved here to Atlanta to, hopefully get my foot in the door and further my career. And so my question is, what's the best way to do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the best way for her to get her foot in the door?
Well, what's your specialty or specialization?
Well, so unfortunately, I finished my studies during the pandemic, so they were offering.
Okay, so what do you want to do as a better person?
Well, I feel like I need to get into the field to actually do the work to figure out, okay, you know how when you said that when you walked in the
Radio station.
the radio station, you knew that was where you needed.
Why did you choose journalism as a...
Come on, girl.
Well, I'm gifted in writing, so I know that writing is my passion, and I have been writing for various magazines over the past 6 or 7 years.
I don't have many writing things in my thing, but I would say that the opportunity that you need to find now that you didn't get to take advantage of was interning. Because you can get in as writing in some department, and so lots of times I know at our station we move people around. We purposefully move people to different, like 1 week here, 1 week here, so you get a rounded experience. I don't know if the news outlets have opportunities for...
It depends. Writing for television and writing for magazines, two really different things. I do TV news, so pretty much at the level for Atlanta, you basically need to be able to write a 20-second story in 3 minutes or less, and we will time you. Because we need you to, it's all about reading the information, retaining it, and regurgitating it really quickly and succinctly. It's not hard to do once you learn how to do it. You'll learn the tricks and tips. So I think, like you said, an internship, it's going to be a little more difficult because Atlanta in news is a top 10 market. You might have to go to a smaller market or a smaller publication to put yourself out there. But like Patch is a good resource, and we can give you a bunch of different resources where you can kind of hone your skills and then turn it into something. Because the last thing you want to do is walk into a newsroom and not be prepared. Because we will steamroll you. I'm just gonna be honest.
Literally.
I don't have a choice because it just moves. When you walk in the door, you're on deadline every single day. So you get there at 9. The show goes on at noon, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 11. Then we're back on at 4:30, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You cannot miss. There's no time to be like, I'm tired, or I didn't make it. I mean, so I say that to a lot of people because I know you want to work in Atlanta, but if you don't have that foundation yet, you have to go somewhere smaller and hone your skills so that when you walk in that newsroom, I mean, they're in tears in 2 days. A lot of these young people coming through the door, coming out of school, they're in tears in 2 days because I do not have that kind of time. You gotta kind of get it and get it fast. So I think if you're passionate, you can do it. I will tell you the first thing you need to do is watch local news and then read it out loud so that you hear it and you hear the cadence of how they speak, and then you can write it. A lot of people don't do that anymore, but that's how I learned. I watched the news all day long, and then I heard it, I listened to it, and I was like, I can write that. And I started taking the AJC article and making it 20 seconds. And take a New York Times article and make it 30 seconds. And then you come in and I give you a writing test and you ace it and you're in. And that's what it's going to take. is honing your skills. If you want to be on camera, look in the mirror and read scripts. Put a script on your mirror every day. Read it out loud and watch your eyes. Because I can't do that. That's what I learned. My eyes move too much. Because I'm like, when I looked at myself, I was like, and another story in the news today, and my eyes were all over the place. Because I didn't know that was a skill you needed, but when I learned that, I was like, oh, that's not for me, because I'm too easily distracted.
Oh, okay.
So you just find your niche.
All right, and so really quick for you guys, are there internships available currently at your stations and publications? I'm thinking about it. Not off the top of my head, we can try to look for something, but now that interns have to be paid, thank you California, it is harder. Because the stations are not budgeting for that anymore. Facts, we're not.
So those students in California who raised that lawsuit that made interns get paid, ruined it for everybody. No, they didn't ruin it for everybody.
No, they did, because people ain't trying to hire you, because I already know I gotta pay you and I don't have that energy.
They don't have the resources anymore.
I don't think we are, but I also would say if it's not news, there are lots of internet publications, or just try to go to someone notable with somebody you can learn from somebody as you grow.
But also with my school, I have a certification program where you find your niche. So you don't have to like go to those like you said, step into the radio station, because radio might not be it. But we cover radio, we cover photo, we cover assisting celebrities, we cover PR, we cover management, we cover brand management, we cover everything. So you will find your niche within probably 6 weeks. I take you on the events that I go to. I take you with like different celebrities, whatever course you choose, you get hands-on. It's different from that.
All right. Anybody else want to answer that question, or are we moving? All right, perfect. We're moving.
How you doing? My name's D.
Sir, the format: stand up, tell us your name, and then let's get into it. Listening is a key to growth and getting your foot in doors and stuff also.
All right. My name's Danaga. I have a question.
That's kind of why we called you.
So, given with the rise of social media and V103 and the radio stations, y'all still running on CC wattage. Now, normally during morning shows or even afternoon shows, the majority of people that y'all are reaching are only around like 20 to 22,000 per sector. Given with these new, as they would say, Instagram journalists or social media journalists, when they're going live, they are touching thousands in seconds, hundreds of thousands even, some of them when they go live. And they're breaking news stories a lot faster. How are you guys keeping up with that, or how are y'all companies keeping up with that? This is excluded from the PR because negligently social media help companies like ours. But it's a question for those who are in radio and news.
So for radio, and my company in particular, we own a whole app that was rebranded recently. It used to be radio.com. It's now Odyssey. You can stream our radio anywhere. If your phone has internet, you have our radio station anywhere you are. We also use social media as a tool. There are lots of times when my morning show has a guest, we stream live at the same time. So you use that as a tool as well. So we're not only touching people who are in the car or wherever their radio is, wherever their phone is, they can listen to the radio show in real time. As far as our streaming, we just understand the importance of social media and the impact that is. And I mean, our cume is a little higher than what your numbers were.
I felt like you tried to.
I didn't take no shade to them.
I felt like you tried to.
That's fine. I didn't say you were crazy. I just said our cume at V103 is a little higher than that. Yeah. Definitely at WSB. No. So all that I'm saying is that radio has had to evolve as most things have had. Print is really having a problem.
Yeah, biggest problems.
Television is really having a problem. Radio had a problem early and has, regained some of its footing, but print has a problem. Most of the stuff that you used to read is not in print anymore. You can't even get it in print anymore. Television is losing to devices because this new generation doesn't want to watch anything in real time. They'll rather binge watch it, and they'll watch it whenever the hell they want to. So there are different challenges for each sector of the thing, but social media and the internet in general can be helpful to each one of our disciplines, if you will.
Yeah.
So we use them all interchangeably and at the same time.
You better talk that talk, Tigger. I mean, your cume was a little off, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but
And let me speak to that. Your cume is off because even though there are people who are reaching millions of people quickly, that information is not always accurate.
Yes.
And it is my biggest pet peeve.
yes, journalistic
Because-
integrity, compromise.
Right, Wikipedia is not facts, not. It's not, it is people putting information out there. You don't know, they don't have their credibility. The credibility is what's important. Not every website that says something is a fact. Most are not. So I think that's what we struggle with is there are people putting narratives out there and they're
stuff out
false.
there. Shit
And
out
they're
there.
not, they're like the headline is right, but the article is wrong. Just wrong or misinformation. Like Google is not facts.
Yeah, because
You
your
have to
cume will
do
be
your
off.
research.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
But yeah, so you really have to do your research, and I think for news stations like us and others, that's the difference. Because we will do our research. I'm not posting anything from Wikipedia or a blog unless I know that blogger is credible. And so that's why that's why Donald Trump was president. There's so much misinformation out there that people are taking as gospel. So that's why I stay in the game, because we got to get the right information out there and people have to educate themselves. That's not facts. That's not true. Do your research. Look at the website. If it's, XRY radio, where is it? Who is it? Some guy in his basement.
Facts.
So just really, really make sure, especially when you retweet people and you latch on to people, do your research and make sure that they're credible journalists and that they're telling you the right information.
Yep. Next question. Who had it? Let's get it, Queen. Do not forget the format, because I will remind you.
I was getting up. My name is Tiffany Lewis with True Brand Media. I had a question. I had a different question until you just asked the question.
So make sure your cume is correct then, okay?
I was previously a data architect. I'm a developer, so I'm really big on data and numbers. So I know how that go. I don't look at Wikipedia for things like that.
Oh, okay.
Right, but
unlike your counterpart. Okay, got it.
Right, but I was interested in, like you said, how social media is growing with the TV networks and things like that. I work with a lot of artists. We work with a lot of small businesses, tech companies and things like that. And one thing that I've noticed that is changing is opportunities for companies that are not as big or like that wants to get maybe a news feed or a news article or get on these major publications for artists with the radio station. I just wanted to know what is changing in that field if they're not, because like before it used to be like you had to be with a label to do X, Y, and Z. Today it's a little bit different, but for B103 specifically, I just wanted to know.
Okay, specifically.
So that is a case-by-case basis. Our program director, Reggie Rouse, is the end-all, be-all. He says yay, you get on, and you says no, you don't. Their record companies definitely have a direct pipeline because they have relationships, things like that. Let's just talk about social media in general. There are these TikTok songs that aren't really songs. They might be 1 minute and 55 seconds. We don't call them songs because we are used to songs. They're like 4 minutes or whatever. But because they're so popular, they still might make it into rotation because it's just that viral. It's just that crazy. A song like To the Moon, like that whole song, that J&R Troy song. Like it was everybody's thing, and it kept playing and playing, and it ended up being a song that people liked. As far as people are concerned, it's whether, I think Reggie's more concerned about whether you speak to our audience or our audience cares about you. So it's about your relevancy and your impact that you have. If you're a social media person, you have 5 million, and he feels like that's speaking directly to our audience, or a segment of our audience, then he might schedule at a certain part of the day which speaks to that audience specifically. So it's I know he doesn't have here's a line, y'all over here, y'all over here. It's whether you have an impact, you have some relevancy, and whether or not our audience is going to appreciate. Will they press the button when you're on? Because if they hear you and they're like, I don't know that person, beep, he's not gonna let you on.
All right, any other questions? Let's get it.
So my name is Aisha Irvin. I'm with Elon Media and Production.
Hey Aisha.
Hi, and so my question is, we've been talking about this all day actually. when you guys have these major platforms with these national networks, what can you do to uplift the Black community? Because as they spoke about, there are a lot of small companies, maybe too many, you know, and some of them aren't credible, some of them are not putting in the work, but there are a lot in Atlanta that's putting in the work. They've been able to get the money. We've been blessed to do some great things. But when we reach out to major networks, just the people like you guys don't want to work with us because of the name. The name.
They acting stink with you.
I'm just saying. And so I really want to know, because we've been having
Whose name? Our name or your name?
So for
example, so Tigger, I can help you. For example, V103, CBS, yeah, got it.
So we say, hey, can you come down? Or I actually go to Belinda because you gave some great information. Can you come down? We want to start our own news show. But I love what you just said about, you know, having that, you need to have that knowledge. Can you come down and kind of help us with that? Who gives that time? I feel like you guys are attached to the check so much, you're not willing to miss a couple checks to build the Black community. And I'm not being funny, because I heard you say something on one day about Black production companies. And I was like, wait a minute, Tig.
What did he say? Tell us.
He basically said our shows sometimes, you want to support the Black community, but sometimes it's low budget.
Okay.
And it's true. I mean, it's fact. But the problem with that was, a lot of times it's because we're not getting the partnerships and the funding. And so I know, Dickey, go ahead and answer that. But how do we get you guys to miss a couple checks to kind of build the Black community? Because there are people that are getting the funds. I mean, we had about $500,000 we put out for our stuff. Everybody was loving us, but everybody who didn't have no money. And so, how do we get that?
I would first say that that's about relationships and networking.
Sure.
As far as I'm concerned, well, okay, let's go back to what I said.
Yes. And it's the boots for me.
I am very supportive of everything Black owned, but I am also supportive of functional, quality.
Okay.
My dollar is still my dollar.
Okay.
I'll give you a personal example. There was a Black pool company that was supposed to do something in my yard.
So there is a pool there.
Pool empty?
There is a pool.
Okay, I got it. That is on.
The level of disappointment that I can share with what happened in my backyard and how I had to subsequently call the other people.
I got you.
White people.
To fix. They basically had to take it halfway apart and put it back because he did that wrong. And I was like, and we all have these moments where we're like, see, you're trying to do the right thing. I don't blanket that statement for everything. I take everything on a case by case. I thought I did my research before. Now I know your DNA now before.
Okay, I like it.
Just because I don't want to be disappointed in my trying to do the right thing, support Black businesses. As far as you're saying, as far as build up the Black community, again, there are limits on time for everyone.
Absolutely.
Networking is a thing. Our station, V103, does lots for the community, and we always do.
But on the national, so that's the answer. You give me the answer.
She said you PR.
You know, right.
So, but if you have a specific request, you need to specifically speak to specific people.
Specific.
If you just send a general request in and you don't have any networking, they don't know who you are, there's thousands of them, and you can't, it's not one that's more important than the other, you just can't do them all. And that's what I'm saying. So there are things that I do like this, or things that I do, there are lots of things that I do to help uplift young people. I work with John in the 411 Foundation, and he does lots with young kids, and lots, so I mean, it's what you do in your networking, but it's also, you can't just show, hey, hi, my name is da-da-da, I'm Black, help.
Right. That's not what I'm saying, though.
So you said that everyone was loving you, and you had $500,000 in funding, and that, my point is, you put the cart before the horse. And what I'm going to say to that is, a lot of times we get really excited about our projects, and you run out, and you got the money, and you shot the pilot, and you shot the scissor reel, and it's great, and and it's all the things, and now you want your money back, or you want a return on your investment. But your investment may not be what we were looking for in that time. So now you're out. So when I say you put the cart before the horse, like if you had the money, then you needed to get the backing before you spent it. so that you would have, and you could have did it on a smaller scale. Like I'm really passionate and good at, because we're news, we don't pay anybody. We're news. Every interview, I don't pay anybody for interviews. We don't pay for anything. So I'm really good at kind of helping you know how to leverage your resources. But a lot of times we get that where I've gotten people, they spent $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, and it's good. It's just not right for us because that's not what we're doing, and it's missing a key element that person doesn't know about.
That's it. That's what I'm.
The key element, and I don't mind. We don't mind helping, but it can't be once you've already done it.